So it didn't change a lot, whether I was going to Kansas or if I had a D2 game at Florida Southern. Now, you may not buy that. Now, was my mindset, was I a little more maybe geared up because I'm going to go to Lawrence, Kansas, and that's the example. You picked that school, so that's why I'm using that one. But it could be K-State in Manhattan. It could be Iowa State. It could have been Mississippi State. Each of them are a little different, but there's an evolution as you go in the path of your career. And fortunately, you're not thrown into those venues normally for the big games, or I say big games, the conference games, or a key crossover intersectional game. They're normally going to ease you into those games. So, but I tried to, couple of things. First of all, I always tried to communicate with my partners, whether I was the crew chief or not. If I didn't hear from my crew chief, I always tried to reach out. I would let them know my travel plans. Later in my career, as I was a little banged up, I tried to get in the night before, and I cut back on back-to-backs. Earlier in my career, I'd work a number of back-to-backs, which in colleges can be challenging because you're taking the first flight out. Now, some referees don't do that. They'll chance it. But, when you go to Kansas in January or February, you got weather you might be dealing with. So you have to consider weather. I always considered my rest and my fatigue. I always tried to consider my mindset. Without going into too much detail, my routine was if I flew in day of game, I never tried to get in later than noon. Never. I always tried to get first flight because back in the day, it's a little different today maybe, but the first flights normally went. The equipment was in from the night before and they weren't waiting